Hey, it's Beth. Welcome back to Chill English Dose. This is your quiet space to slow down, listen, and learn English, one calm story at a time. Have you ever felt guilty for resting? Like you should be doing something, anything, just so you don't waste time? We live in a world that glorifies being busy. If you're not moving, you're falling behind. If you're resting, you're lazy. But here's something I've learned. Rest isn't the opposite of productivity. It's part of it. Sometimes the most productive thing you can do is stop. So today, let's talk about rest. Not as a luxury, but as a necessity. Let's talk about giving yourself permission to pause and why it's okay to rest. Take a deep breath with me. Inhale. Exhale. Let's begin. It was a Thursday, not the busiest day of my week, but somehow I felt exhausted before I even started. You know those days when your brain feels full even though you haven't done much? That was me. I sat at my desk with a to-do list that looked endless. Emails to answer, projects to finish, things I hadn't even started yet. I told myself just one more task. But that one task turned into 3, and then 5. I wasn't really working anymore. I was just trying not to feel guilty for stopping. At one point, I caught myself staring at the screen, reading the same line for the 5th time. Nothing was going in. My body was still sitting, but my mind was already gone. So I did something I almost never do. I closed my laptop. It felt strange, like breaking a rule. I made tea, lay down for a few minutes, and promised myself I'd get back to work after a short break. But the guilt didn't go away that easily. You know that voice? The one that says, you should be doing something right now. Yeah, that one. It showed up immediately. It whispered, you're wasting time. You're behind. Other people are working harder. I listened for a moment, and then I took another sip of tea. It's funny how silence can make you hear everything you've been avoiding. I realized that I wasn't tired because I'd done too much. I was tired because I hadn't stopped trying to prove I was doing enough. So I decided to rest anyway. I stretched out on the couch, let my phone stay on the table, and just stared out the window. It was quiet. A few sounds outside, a dog barking, a car passing, the kind of quiet that doesn't ask for anything. At first, my brain kept running laps. You should get up. You have things to do. But slowly, those thoughts started to fade. And for the first time that week, I felt my shoulders drop. I didn't fall asleep. I didn't meditate. I just let myself be still. And something interesting happened. When I finally went back to my work an hour later, it didn't feel heavy anymore. The ideas came easier. The words flowed better. It was like my mind had been waiting for me to catch up. That's when I realized rest isn't what happens after the work is done. Rest is what makes the work possible. You don't fix burnout by working harder. You fix it by remembering you're human. When you take a break, you don't lose time. You gain clarity. And when you recharge, you're not stepping away from progress. You're stepping back into it with more strength. Try saying this quietly to yourself. It's okay to rest. I'm not falling behind. I'm just recharging. We often confuse rest with laziness, but they're not the same. Laziness is avoiding what matters. Rest is protecting what matters. When you rest, you give your mind a chance to breathe. And that's when creativity, patience, and focus return. Think about plants for a second. They don't grow all the time. They have seasons. There are days they bloom and days they stay still. And both are part of growth. We're not that different. You can't sprint through life without pausing. Even machines need to recharge. How could humans not? Rest is part of the rhythm of productivity. You move, you pause, you recover, you grow. But we've been taught to feel guilty about the pause, to see it as weakness instead of wisdom. I used to think, if I stop now, I'll lose my momentum. But I've learned the opposite is true. When I rest, I protect my momentum. I make sure it's sustainable. The truth is, constant motion isn't progress. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do for your goals is step back for a while. You can't pour from an empty cup, and you can't expect clarity from a tired mind. You deserve to rest, not because you've done enough, but because you are enough. Your worth isn't measured by your productivity. You're not a machine that breaks when it stops. You're a human being that breathes, recovers, and begins again. So when you rest, don't treat it like a reward. Treat it like maintenance, a gentle check-in with yourself. What does your body need? What does your mind need? Sometimes the answer isn't another task. It's just a nap, or a walk, or 10 quiet minutes doing nothing at all. And that's okay. Here's what I've learned. Rest doesn't take you away from your goals. It takes you closer to them because it keeps you healthy enough to get there. You can rest and still be responsible. You can pause and still care deeply. You can slow down and still succeed. You don't need to earn your rest. You just need to allow it. So the next time that voice in your head says you should be doing something, you can answer, I am. I'm resting. Because rest is something too. Something important. Something real. Something brave. If you can, try this. At least once this week, take one intentional break. No phone, no guilt. Just stop and notice how your body feels when it's not in a hurry. You might be surprised. The world keeps going, but your mind comes home. When was the last time you rested without guilt? Was it a long time ago? Or maybe never? If that's the case, today is a good day to start. Rest doesn't mean you've stopped growing. It means you're preparing to grow again. So tell me, what's one small thing you do to rest? Share it in the comments. Maybe it'll remind someone else that rest is allowed. You're doing enough. You've always been trying, and you deserve to rest. Let rest be the bridge between who you are and who you're becoming. And if this moment made you breathe a little softer, stay with us here on Chill English Dose. Subscribe for more calm English stories like this, where we listen, learn, and grow gently together. Thank you for being here. Take care of yourself, and remember, it's okay to rest.